Z for Zachariah. Z for Zachariah is a post-apocalyptic science fiction novel by Robert C. O'Brien that was published posthumously in 1974. The name Robert C. O'Brien was a pen name used by Robert Leslie Conley. After the author's death in 1973, his wife Sally M. Conley and daughter Jane Leslie Conley completed the book guided by his notes. Set in the United States, the story is in the form of a diary written from the first-person perspective of 16-year-old Anne Burden, who has survived a nuclear war and nerve gas through living in a small valley with a self-contained weather system. According to Sally Conley, Z for Zachariah was her husband's second novel intended for adults following his 1972 science fiction thriller A Report from Group 17. O'Brien had previously established himself as a children's writer with his novels The Silver Crown, 1968, and Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nim, 1971. Z for Zachariah received a 1976 Honor Award from the Jane Addams Children's Book Award and the Edgar Award for the Best Mystery Fiction in the Juvenile category. Okay. And just a little bit on the title. It is revealed that as a child, Anne had owned a biblical ABC book which mentioned the prophet Zachariah. She remembers thinking that if Adam, who was used for the letter A, was the first man on earth, Zachariah, who represented the letter Z, must be the last, and likens this to her status as the last survivor of the war. Okay. Now, I read Z for Zachariah in high school, in St. Pat's High School. I'm pretty sure it was in Mrs. Sanderson's class. Could have been Miss Sanderson. I can't remember 100% sure. Probably Mrs. Sanderson. And the whole class read it, and it was either year 8 or year 9, possibly year 10. Don't think it was quite that late on, but we read it, and I think Mrs. Sanderson probably read the chapter as we read along. It was probably how it went. I'm not 100% sure. Or we might have read it on its own. I can't remember. But we also did, when it was complete, we did probably an essay or something, and I don't know. But we also had to write a piece of fiction based on Z for Zachariah. And just, I suppose in this modern day term, that's what you would call fan fiction. And I remember a little bit about the story I wrote, which I don't have anymore. But Mr. Loomis went a little bit crazy, I think, and ended up sort of killing himself or just going berserk or something like that. Berserk or crazy. I don't remember the details. Of course, there's a movie now. I've got the movie on DVD. I haven't watched it yet. It's with Margot Robbie and some other actors. And I've had recently ideas of developing my original, I suppose, fan fiction story with a development of a sequel for Zachariah. Mr. Loomis, of course, is in it, and the character's name is Anne Burden. So, first time I've looked that up, I should reread that plot there, and I saw the trailer not long ago for the movie. But I'm thinking about I've developed in my head some ideas for a Z for Zachariah fan fiction sequel, as it were, and it's called Z for Zachariah Project Eden, I think. And the idea is that there were a team. The government had people who survived the nuclear war in bunkers, but food ran out, and nearly all of them died. But there's a special ARC group who have probably like the 1970s TV show which lasted for a little while, The Ark. People might not know about that, but you can see a trailer for it on YouTube. You can see episodes on YouTube. They probably travel around in a minibus or something, and there's probably 7 survivors who travel on the Ark. And they also have water purification things like I think Mr. Loomis had, and anti-radiation stuff, and they're protected. And they find themselves, this is the idea for my fanfiction story, Z for Zachariah, the Eden Project. They find the valley, and they join the community, and Anne Burden, I think, who left at the end of the story, has returned, and it's the Eden Project. I don't have too much more details on that, but they're trying to form a new community which they call Eden. and to solve the problems of the nuclear holocaust in the world gradually. But it might end in them having a civil war of sorts, potentially. Or the bickering between infighting in relationships and things like that is probably the standard idea. I don't think I'm going on to a world redemption story with it. That's probably not what it's about. But there's probably just infighting and bickering. But I've got ideas maybe to do Z for Zachariah, the Eden Project, as a bit of a fan fiction sequel, and maybe one day I'll get around to that. We'll see how it goes. That's a bit of information on Z for Zachariah.